I was going to yesterday, and I opened the front page of the Post, or looked at the front page of the Post yesterday, and the bottom half of the front page, below the fold, and then I looked, it was carried in a lot of other media, was a bunch of health researchers, I'm pretty sure from Otago Medical School or university, with shocking, and I use the word advisedly, new research that suggested that I think it was as many of 1,000 people a year in New Zealand are dying because of alcohol-related deaths. And I read through the whole story and I kept on trying to come out, where is the new study? And then I incredibly confusingly written, and at the end it basically said the data was 6 or 7 years old. So I finished the story and I thought, I can't really launch into that research because it's not clear. And I'm glad I tied ho, because yesterday at work we get an email from the Alcoholic Beverages Council, and now the group that represents the major alcohol manufacturers or sales organisations in New Zealand, you know, the people who make the nice stuff that we drink. And they've said there's an issue with the research. And I'll be honest, because all the media coverage I read yesterday had absolutely no balance to it. It was all just slightly confusing research saying essentially alcohol bad, drinking bad. I thought here on the platform we'd take the opportunity, as we often do, to give the other side of this story. So we're joined now by Virginia Nicholls, the CEO of the Alcoholic Beverages Council. Virginia, nice to talk to you again. This research, is it new?
Look, it's not. You're absolutely right. I mean, this is research to estimate the population level health loss due to alcohol consumption, and you're absolutely right. The report is 6 years out of date. It doesn't take into account any of the most recent official stats which show that hazardous drinking, which is what that report's all about, is at the lowest rate since levels began. And they don't in that report, they reference back to the 2018 data, but they don't in that report talk about the New Zealand Health Survey from 2023, which is just last year, that says that 84% of us are drinking, or more than 4 out of 5 of us are drinking our beer, wine and spirits responsibly. And it's an increase of 3 percentage points in the last year alone. And of course it means equally that hazardous drinking has declined. But Sean, that equates to 110,000 fewer Kiwis drinking in a harmful way. And what
year.
Dr. Misdrat, but per year, absolutely. But what Dr. Misdrat actually says in her media release is she says the results would be similar today. So how can she say
would be similar today?
Similar today. That's in the media release.
But the headline doesn't say this is what was happening 7 years ago. It was a contemporaneous context put around that research.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it doesn't, as I say, again, the report's about estimating population level health loss and not about guidelines. And what they do in this report, they don't acknowledge the New Zealand health guidelines at all. They talk about the Canadian Centre on Substance Use and Addiction guidelines, which have not been adopted by the Canadian government. And they also reference a sensitivity analysis within the Australian guideline report that doesn't form the actual guideline itself. So again, you know, if I can just sort of remind everybody what the Ministry of Health tells us for safe drinking is 2 standard drinks a day for women, 3 standard drinks a day for men, and at least 2 alcohol-free days off each week. That is incredibly important.
Yeah. Virginia, did you or your organisation get contacted by any of the media that ran this initial story?
Yes, we did. We got contacted by the New Zealand Herald, and we had a few comments in that.
And they published your comments?
What was that, sorry?
Did they publish your comments and your observations?
Just a couple of them. I gave them a couple of pages and I got, a few sentences in there.
Do you know what prompted the release of this old research? Is there a funding round going on for the public health researchers?
It's very odd. I heard in some media yesterday that this was done because of the census data back in 2018, but I thought there's been census data taken in the last 2 years, so it doesn't make any sense to me at all. But Sean, there's another fact in all of this as well. And I think this is really important. It's really well established that all things being equal, those who drink lightly to moderately live longer than those who don't drink at all. The New Zealand guidelines reflect the extensive research which indicates that moderate alcohol consumption, such as that suggested by our guidelines, does not negatively impact lifespan. Further, moderate alcohol consumption appears to have health benefits in relation to preventing cardiovascular disease and type 2 diabetes. For this reason, moderate drinkers in general have been found to live longer. Now, what I'm getting to here is in this report, it's really good to see, it's buried a little bit, and may I say it's not in the media release, that beneficial effects of low-level consumption on ischemic heart disease, which I understand is cardiovascular disease, and diabetes, are acknowledged. But the report then argues that these are contested. Guess who's contesting them? The Canadian Centre of Substance Use and Addiction, who have contributed again back to this report. So you look at that and say, why don't you trust your own data? Why do you need to go over to Canada and of an organisation whose, recommendations, if you like, haven't been taken up by the Canadian government? I don't get it.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I don't know what to be more outraged about, to be honest. The poor journalism from my colleagues, or, I don't know, the one-sidedness of the research. But the fact is, as you've said on this program, as all the research shows, New Zealanders are starting drinking less. There's less binge drinking going on per capita per head of population. Our alcohol consumption is going down, and we seem to be moving in the right direction, right?
Yeah, we are moving in the right direction, and we're doing that ourselves without any significant regulation change. And I think that's an incredibly important thing.